Hello and welcome to the We Can't Mind Ours YouTube series brought to you by Mystical Meeks. The purpose of this channel is so that you guys can have a passenger seat alongside me as I deep sea dive into this newfound spirituality, this newfound knowledge in African science, metaphysics, crystals, and so much more. Now, full disclaimer, guys, none of the content that I drop on this page is to force any ideas on you, to force any religion on you, to force any spirituality on you. It's merely to be informative. We're keeping this a positive and respectful space, y'all. We just gonna get right into it. Now, guys, what's all this talk about sage? It seems like the first 7 days of January, the trending topics have been sage is a demon, sage is a portal, Taco Bell wings, sage, do not burn sage. Y'all, what's all this talk about sage? Boom, let's get right into it. So, picture this, y'all. Imagine you took chemical compounds, put them inside of a jar, sealed the lid, and shook the jar. You have created a chemical reaction, but the mixture is confined and has no escape out of the jar. A common reaction would be the jar exploding, cracking, or the reaction not being able to be completed due to a lack of oxygen or being compressed in a small confined space. This is a common example that Shaman Colleen uses when she's dealing with clients who come to her with issues concerning them burning sage. Now, her first thought and her first question when she asked them is, did you open the door? Did you open a window? When you burn sage, guys, it is very imperative, it is very important to have a pathway for unwanted things to leave. Naturally, when you burn sage, it is a cleanser. How can you tell something, hey, I don't want you here, and not give it a pathway to leave? That is the same as this chemical compound mixture. When you're creating something new, you know what I'm saying, and you're confining it in a space, you're going to run into some problems. Now, some problems that you may run into with sage may be some paranormal activity in your home because you have unwanted spirits and you're letting them know, hey, I don't want you here. And you're not giving them pathway to leave. Okay? So this is a good example that Shaman Colleen uses, and it makes a lot of sense. When you're telling something to leave, give it some pathway to leave. Don't burn sage and not open the window and open a door. And it's very imperative once you do these things to manifest and pray and welcome the energy that you want inside your home. Which brings me to common mistakes and what you should know when you're smudging and, burning sage. Now, with any spiritual work, our first key point is having clear intentions. Clear your heart, clear your mind, and set the expectation. Affirm what you want for your household, for yourself, for any object that you are going to cleanse. And that brings me to the contemplate the wishes. Again, contemplate the wishes that you want. Have that on your mind already. Have your intention set. Because, next point, sage acts as an energy and an ion neutralizer. Now, sage releases negative ions, which neutralizes positive ions. This, in return, creates a spiritual vacuum. It gets rid of the good and the bad, and the natural and the spirit. So, again, very important to set your intentions. When you're vacuuming anything and everything out of your space, you need to set intentions. Hey, joy needs to be here. Love needs to be here. And as sage acts as a natural cleanser, you can also add, an optional affirmation like unwanted spirits, you're no longer welcome here. Again, metaphysics is an intention-based principle. Intentions are key. And a way that I've recently learned to properly extinguish your sage is putting it in a bowl of sand. Now, I don't got no bowl of sand laying around, but if you burn sage, you know how it may still burn, it may be burning, but a proper way to extinguish it is putting it inside a bowl of sand, if you did not know. Sage is a demon. Sage is a portal. Y'all, what is sage? Y'all, it's been so many things being said about sage. Let's just get into it. What is sage? Now, sage is a plant. It's actually an aromatic herb of the mint family and is majorly cultivated for its edible leaves. Meaning you can eat sage. We eat it every day in dried foods and fresh foods. You'll be surprised as to what has sage inside of it. And it's also native to the Mediterranean region. Sage is a perennial plant. That just means that it survives all seasons, which is a blessing. The colors of its leaves range from gray-green to whitish-green, and there are many variations of sage. Now, the variation that is most common that we've been seeing in the media that people are smudging with is white sage. And that particular sage is found inside of southeastern United States and northwestern Mexico. That is where that sage is native to. The Latin word salvia, that stems from the word heal, something that sage does, some of the properties of sage. Now, smudging with sage dates back to prehistoric times and has been documented being used in every corner of the world by our ancestors. Smudging with sage is also one of the oldest and purest methods of cleansing a person, group of people, an object, or a space, and it also gets rid of unwanted spirits. What are the uses, the benefits, and the chemical breakdown of sage? Now, a lot of these things have been spoken of a tad bit in previous slides, but we're just going to go down to it, get right into it. We're going to get right into it, okay? A lot of properties that sage has: keeps infectious bacteria, viruses, and fungi at bay. Now, sage may help to relieve symptoms of some conditions involving the respiratory system because sage releases negative ions, which neutralizes positive ions. Now, I would say some common positive ion allergens are pollution, dust, and mold. So it's beneficial to somebody who has asthma or respiratory conditions. Now, it's not to say to go burn some sage and inhale it and smoke it. Some crazy stuff that you guys might try to take out this video. No, it's to say when you cleanse a particular space, let that smoke clear out, let the sage do what it do, neutralize them positive ion allergens, and you in the game. Fresh breathing for you, right? Medieval Europe, sage was used to strengthen memory and promote wisdom. You can cleanse objects with sage. You can cleanse people with sage. Yourself, boo, because you may got some, who knows what you done picked up alongside the way, child. But you can cleanse yourself, that's fine, and your space. A 2014 study that I will link in the details documents that white prairie sage is an important traditional remedy, and it treats anxiety, depression, and mood disorders in certain cultures. Okay? Sage and tea that's been brewed from sage has been served as a tonic for centuries and alleviates symptoms of arthritis. So go ahead and get you some sage tea, help you with them arthritis pains. And again, lots of uses, lots of health benefits. Sage is also effective against cardiovascular diseases, brain and nervous disorders, various infections of the throat, dental abscesses, and mouth ulcers, and digestion problems. Go and get you some sage, girl. It was medically reviewed by Deborah Rose Wilson with all these lists of degrees, child. Now, I included this slide. Journals.sagepub.com is a great site. I love it. It's just a compiled outlet for you to use that shows studies on a long range of things as far as science goes. Peer reviews, studies, and this particular study that I decided to include inside this PowerPoint, child. When I was looking at the chemical breakdown and chemical composition and compounds that sage has, there is, like I mentioned before, thujone. Thujone is a psychoactive agent, which is why some people say, oh, sage may be a portal. Yes, because sage is the things that are contained inside of sage are psychoreactives. That in turn will strengthen your intuition, will kind of lift the veil for spirits. So it's your personal decision whether you decide, hey, this is not something that I'm ready for. This is not something that I want to do, because sage has been seen, to connect, to build intuition and strengthen intuition as far as spirituality goes. So that's just a full disclaimer. That's a warning. And this study just shows that the potential that sage has could be responsible for its health benefits. All the great things that sage does and can help is just to say, okay, these things might be why sage is so beneficial to you. Now, also in this study, it's showing the levels of camphor and thujone. Again, thujone is a psychoreactive, and camphor has some negative effects to it. But as it shows after that sage was lit in this particular study, more so paying attention to the last chart, it's showing the levels of thujone, which have jumped up a very considerable amount. So like I said, if this is not something that you're ready for, if this is not something, that you're able to comprehend in this present moment, I would not recommend it. Again, the purpose of this slide, what is sage? What's sage about? What's all this talk about sage? Is to give a little info on sage's uses, the true native region of sage, regular sage, and the variation of white sage. And to give a little insight, because y'all, it's been a wild couple of days, but I'm grateful for the support. There's a list of the references that you guys are, making it ready and available to you for you to go study and do, the research that you need to do for yourself. But it's been amazing. It's been a lot of love and support. So many people have said, hey, Jackie, I've got this sage, and I know you've been doing a little research on it. You have any tips or any, ideas? This is what this video serves the purpose for. Blessings and peace. Thank you all. I'm sending you guys all love and light. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thank you.